Welcome to Latte with a Lawyer, a podcast dedicated to bringing you the stories of some of America's most successful lawyers, figuring out what makes them tick, how they creatively solve problems, and how others aspiring to be them can follow in their footsteps.
Okay, good afternoon, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Latte with a Lawyer. I'm your host, Jonathan Brickman, and this afternoon from the West Coast, we have Matt Clark with the law firm of Chain, Cohn, and himself, Clark. Welcome to the show.
Well, thank you very much. It's nice to be invited.
You're absolutely glad to have you. So Latte with a Lawyer is our theme. So what's your morning beverage of choice to get going?
I take my latte very seriously. I mean, like, okay, you're going to think I'm crazy. So I have an espresso machine at my house made by a company called Slayer. So I have a Slayer single group. The Slayer is a great machine because it does like a pre-infusion before it pulls the full shot. I am a Ritual Roasters guy. I get my beans from San Francisco, and I'm a whole milk guy. So the milk in my latte is a whole milk. So every morning, like a ritual, that is what I do.
Really? No, I read that in your answers to me. No kidding. Every day you make a latte. That's amazing. You're the first one I've heard that's done that.
Every single day. I take it so overboard. I actually plumbed the system into my house myself. I had a filter company from Germany send me the filter, so it adds magnesium back to the water, so it doesn't impact the flavor of the espresso. And I take it real seriously.
Wow.
Probably neurotic is what most people would say.
Maybe a little bit, but where did that passion come from, though? Where did that come from?
Well, I love coffee, right? And I like to do things myself. I pick little things in life that kind of become my obsessions.
Okay.
And, when it's an obsession, I dive in the deep into the pool and go all the way in.
Interesting.
So, some might call that a sickness, but it's worked out okay for me.
Okay, so good segue into your law practice, because you're probably obsessed with that, and you're probably really good at that too. So talk about your law practice.
So I am really a lucky guy. I kind of fell into working for a firm that back then was called Chain and Younger. And same firm today. We've gone through some iterations. We were Chain Younger, Chain Cohn Styles, now Chain Cohn Clark. And our firm will be 90 years old next year. I've been practicing nothing but personal injury law for 21 years now.
Okay.
Our firm is located in Bakersfield, California. We're kind of smack dab in the southern section of the Central Valley of California. So we're surrounded by farms and oil. That's Bakersfield.
John Steinbeck, right?
The Grapes of Wrath was exactly about Bakersfield and the Dust Bowl immigration from Oklahoma. And so, we are a firm that's been here a long time. We're probably considered the stalwart of our community in the sense that, there's no other personal injury firm that's been around as long as us. I am now the fourth generation to take over the firm. So not something that happens a lot in the PI world.
Yeah, that's amazing. Wow. So I've never been to Bakersfield. So give me the coordinates here. Like, how far away from like San Francisco, LA is that?
Yeah. So we're about an hour, 40 minutes north of LA proper, right? Without traffic. The traffic, we're probably 2.5 hours away, but so hour 30, hour 40 from downtown LA. From San Francisco, we're about 4 hours, 4.5.
Okay.
And in the south, so the Central Valley of California is the bread basket of California. And we're surrounded by farms and dairies and of course we were known as the oil production capital of California as well. I mean, if you think of, like old school, like Getty Oil, right?
Yeah.
Getty Oil was Bakersfield, California.
Okay.
And we're a smaller town by California standards, but big by national standards. Greater Bakersfield's about 600,000 people now. A lot of people come from LA and move to Bakersfield because it's more affordable. You can buy a home here. You can sell your postage stamp size home in LA for $1.5 million, and you can come up here and buy a really nice home for $500,000 or $600,000.
Got it. But people don't go commute to LA from there. I mean, that's like
They do.
They do.
Yes, they do. In fact, you'd be shocked at the number of people who do that. And it's funny, I have some of those people as my clients, over time, and you'll ask them, you'll say like, geez, I mean, that is a long drive. You're in the car. It's like an hour, 40 hour, 50 minutes every day to get to work. And what they always say back to me is, well, I used to live in Orange County and I worked downtown and it took me longer to get to work. And so, and then their response too is, at least going from Bakersfield to LA, I'm moving the whole time and I'm not just stopped on the 5 or the 405 or one of the freeways. So
Got it.
to me, it's foreign, but to a lot of people, that's a way of life.
Yeah. Well, listen, with remote work, now that the trend is finally in place, it becomes less of an issue anyway.
Certainly. Yeah,
Right.
absolutely. I mean, there's a lot of that going on here too.
Oh, yeah. You're right. Where's your family from? You sort of have like an East Coast accent.
That's interesting you picked that up. So my family's from here, from California. My mom and dad, both Californians, but my dad was a college professor and taught in Minnesota at St. John's when I was born. And so I lived there for a while, but I've been in California the vast majority of my life. I guess I just, that affected way of talking has stuck with me all these years.
Maybe it's the blend. I mean, I'm from Boston, so I mean, I'm listening to your accent. It's like it doesn't sound like California.
I've been told that once or twice before. Yeah, and I blame it on Minnesota.
Okay, Minnesota, yeah, Minnesota.
Exactly.
Got it. All right, so personal injury, 90 years. That's quite a statement. What's the focus of the practice, if there is one?
Well, we're a general personal injury firm. We also have a workers' comp division. Workers' comp varies from state to state, but in California, it's a viable practice. If I really said what was our expertise, we do a lot of oil and gas cases, a lot of industrial farming cases. Oil and gas in particular. If you're injured working out in the oil patch, those are cases that are not. We're not talking a rear-end auto accident case.
Yeah.
They're more complicated, right?
Yeah.
We've got a pretty vibrant products defect failure to warn practice. We don't do mass tort. That's the one area we steer clear of. Mass tort and med mal, I don't like to touch.
Okay.
But otherwise, we handle everything else. But if I was to say what's our real specialty, it's oil and gas, agricultural injuries. We do 1983 cases, so civil rights, and we've got an elder abuse practice as well. So, and then you throw in car accidents and the typical stuff. And that's our mix.
Got it. Interesting. I didn't realize that there's still exploration there in Central Valley.
Exploration may be a wrong way to put it. If you've watched the national media the last year or so, you'll know that California is really trying to phase out of oil and gas production.
Yeah.
It's harmful to Bakersfield, I'll tell you. I mean, there's a lot, those are good paying jobs, right?
Right.
I mean, there's guys straight out of high school that are going to work in the oil fields and you can make 80, 90, $100,000 a year. And unfortunately, those jobs are starting to disappear because we're not allowing the exploration for new wells.
Okay.
We are lucky in our area that there are still thousands of wells in Kern County that are producing, and that requires work and people to operate and maintain those wells. And so there's still work. It'll be interesting to see what happens in the coming years.
Yeah.
Whether or not that industry is able to maintain itself here or not.
Yeah. Well, I mean, listen, California as a whole, the more Teslas in California than anywhere. It's a liberal, progressive place. Is it different? I'm guessing it's different in Bakersfield.
Very much so. Bakersfield would be the red island in the middle of a blue sea. Just to give you an idea, if you followed the battle for the Speaker of the House these past several weeks,
yeah, of course,
Kevin McCarthy is from Bakersfield.
That's what I thought. Devin Nunes, is he from that part of the world?
Devin Nunes would be north of us in Fresno, but As a whole, the Central Valley of California is more conservative than the rest of the state.
Yeah.
You know, when people think of California as being this like ultra liberal, hyper blue state, you're really thinking LA, San Diego, and the coastline that connects that, right? The rest of the state is much more moderate, if not conservative.
Yeah. Okay. Interesting. Well, I mean, it's only been recent years that it flipped from red to blue anyways, right?
Right. I mean, you know, it's not, you don't have to go too far back in time to remember, you know, Arnold Schwarzenegger was our governor as a Republican. So, you know, if you follow California politics, what really turned this state into the Democrat bastion that it's been the last 10 to 15 years was Proposition 187 that came up under Gray Davis, who was a Republican governor. And that was the proposition that was floated on the ballot that denied benefits to certain classes of illegal immigrants. And it was really seen as targeting the Latino population. And a lot of people were angry about that.
Yeah.
That shifted allegiances in this state dramatically. And
Ah,
honestly, Republicans have never recovered.
no kidding. Interesting. You know, and what is the percentage of the population that is Latino? I know it's a big population, but as a percentage.
Yeah, so in Kern County, which is the county where Bakersfield sits, Bakersfield's the county seat, we are over 50% Latino population.
Oh, no kidding. Okay.
So I think they call it now a majority-minority, right?
Yeah.
And that's a trend that is going to continue, right? I think you're going to see
Yes.
the trend in the Latino population continue to grow while others, you know, begin to reside.
Absolutely. I mean, for the whole country, I mean, there's no stopping the change in demographic.
Right. And as a firm, you know, that's something that we wholly embrace, right? In fact, if you don't, you're going to be out of business. So, you know, for my entire practice anyway, you know, that is a major component of our practice. I would say, you know, our firm is 7 lawyers, 35 employees total. Half of our staff speaks Spanish.
Okay. It's just like where I am in South Florida. I mean, you know, you'll hear Spanish as much as you'll hear English.
Right. And what happens is even a guy like me born in Minnesota and you know, about as pale as they come, begin to learn Spanish, right? And so you know, it's a big component of our business, and it's a you know, it's something that at least in California where we live, where you live too, I'm sure it's just going to continue to grow.
Oh yeah, for sure. And again, that's America, right?
Yeah. I mean, even you go to Minnesota now, and you're starting to see that.
Well, Minnesota's got a huge Somalian population, right? I mean, yeah, we live in America. This is a land of immigrants, right?
Well, and I think we forget sometimes just how important it is to have that immigrant population, right? I mean, having different cultures coming in and I mean, that's frankly what makes us so great, right?
Absolutely.
I'd get really tired of eating American food all the time. Not to bring it back to food, but or bring it down to food, but you know, this is what makes us such an interesting place to live and makes us so successful. You know?
Well, that's what drives innovation. If you know anything about innovation theory, that's what drives innovation.
Right. Got to have new blood. And you know, it's interesting that applies to law firms too, right? Like one of the reasons that my firm has been successful in, you know, I don't know that your viewers realize just how rare it is to see a PI firm passed from one generation to the next, right? Really, really a rare thing. I mean, it happens, but it doesn't happen often. And I think one of the reasons that we've been successful at that is the guys that came before me, the women that came before me here, they saw the importance of bringing in that new innovative blood. And it's something that we continue to do to this very day.
Yeah, that's terrific. Are you close to Paris and Lancaster?
Yeah, so Rex would be our neighbors. You know, Rex Paris, mayor of Lancaster, might as well be called the president of Lancaster.
Yeah.
And I say that with respect.
Yeah, no, I know.
You know, Rex has we're about Oh shoot, about an hour away.
Okay, okay.
He's
I,
out in what
fig-
they
I
call the
figured
high
you
desert.
knew. I figured you knew him, and so that's a family operation too.
Yeah, absolutely. And they're closer to LA than we are.
Right.
Rex's office and where he's working is probably, I don't do that drive too often, but I'd say is about 45 minutes from downtown LA.
Okay. Very good. I figured that, not just to sort of orient the conversation for me. I figured that was the case.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. He's out. It's funny. Everybody thinks of when you talk about Bakersfield, California, everybody immediately goes, "Oh my gosh, it's so hot there," which it is. In the summer, it's hot. Okay.
yeah, yeah.
We joke, of course, it's a dry heat, as they say. But Rex is where it gets really hot.
The
He,
valley, yeah.
no, he's out in the high desert.
Oh, that's the high desert.
Yeah,
Okay.
so he's technically in the Mojave Desert, and that is hot country out there.
Okay. Yeah, I guess I don't know my geography that well, but I know it gets really hot in the valley. I know that, right?
Yeah, I mean, we get our 110-degree days every so often. We'll have, it's not an unusual summer for us to have 40, 45, 50 days above 100 in a row.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
But I will
crazy.
tell you this. I mean, you said you're from Boston. I think the hottest I've ever been was I went back and I did the Abota Trial College, which was at Harvard one summer. And it was a week-long program in August. And Boston in August felt to me to be much hotter than Bakersfield, California in August.
Yeah, because of the humidity. Yeah.
Us Californians, we aren't used to that.
Yeah, you don't like that. Well, come to South Florida in the summer. You want to feel the humidity?
I don't think I could do it.
Yeah.
I don't think I could do it.
It's amazing you body you kind of get used to it. You really do. It's crazy. I went
Well, you
back to
get
visit.
used to the heat out here. It's just a matter of where you
Yeah,
live.
it's very true. I went back to visit my mother last weekend in Boston, and it was snowing. And so there's the other extreme. I wasn't used to that anymore.
When I was a kid, it snowed here one time. And I shouldn't say kid, I was probably in my late teens, early 20s. And you would have, I mean, we're talking like, an inch of snow sat on the ground and literally the community shut down, stores closing. You would have thought it would have been an equivalent of a category 5 hurricane coming in,
Right.
because we got 1 inch of snow. So like now, we're not used to it.
No, definitely not used to it. Yeah. So let's go back. I read some of your background. Looks you were doing other things before you became a lawyer. Take us through that journey.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know that my story is all that different from most people. You talk to a lot of lawyers and they really had no intention. I mean, you get that person every so often that, from 6 years old, they knew they wanted to be a lawyer.
Yeah.
Those people are kind of rare. A lot of us, we just kind of got there over time. So when I was in high school, I wanted to go and be a filmmaker, and so to get into film school, you had to produce a reel. I was lucky; I went to a small school, and they kind of let me do what I wanted, and so I did some TV, video stuff, not film at that point,
Yeah.
but used that to create a reel. Ultimately, got into Loyola Marymount's film program, which is down in Los Angeles. Did my undergraduate degree in film production, worked in Hollywood all through school and then just a little bit afterwards, and kind of was fed up with it. It's one of those things where if you weren't in a union and you didn't have like some great connection, not
Yeah.
the easiest of businesses to break into. It was also weird. Like you would have a job and they would pay you a lot of money when you had a job. I worked as an editor. So when I had jobs, I made a lot of money, but I'm also like 21, 22 years old and don't know how to handle money. And so, they're paying you, whatever, back then, $5,000 a week, which was a lot of money. Right.
Sure.
And, you blow through it in a nanosecond, and then you're out scrambling to try to find a new gig because it's all short term, right? You're
Right.
on a show for a little bit, or if it's a film or it's a commercial or whatever, you've just got these real short periods of time you're working. And so I didn't like the fact that it didn't have stability, and I wanted to go back to school. So here's what I did. This is like just moronic thinking back on it, but I went and took the LSAT, and I took would have been the GRE,
GMAT. I think I read
GMAT.
GMAT. Yeah.
And I took them like a week apart and
Wow.
did no prep.
No
Just
prep
went
at
in
all.
blind, zero prep. I didn't do
Wow.
the Princeton review. I didn't go to the bookstore and buy the thing or whatever. And I said, whichever one of those two I do better on, that's what I'll do. I'll either go to business school or I'll go to law school. And I did slightly better on the LSAT, and so off to law school I went.
Well, you had to do well, otherwise you weren't getting into either. So you must have scored pretty well.
You know what? I scored well on everything but the logic games because I had no idea what I was doing.
Yeah.
I remember thinking back on it, reading it, going, I'm not even sure what they're asking me. And so I must have gotten lucky in a couple places, but in any event, did better, went on to law school, went to McGeorge, which is the University of Pacific School up in Sacramento.
Where is that school?
Sacramento. Yeah. So they're Sacramento-based law school, kind of known for having a high bar passage rate and producing a bunch of trial lawyers.
Oh, no kidding.
And so anyway, worked out well, passed the bar and decided I wanted to come back home. My spouse was from here, and so we were both Bakersfield people, and it made sense to come back, and the rest is history.
That's an interesting story. Anyone else in the family? Lawyers?
Nope. I'm the total black sheep. My dad was a college professor. My mom was an 8th grade English teacher. My sister is a special ed teacher. So I'm the scumbag of the family.
Wait, why is that a scumbag? You're the white.
Well, they like to remind me that all lawyers are scumbags, of course.
Nah, that's not true. You guys are all nice guys. Everyone I've met has been nice. So
well, thank you. I appreciate that. But no, not in the family. But it's funny, like you think back on it and how it all works out. Having that background in film production really does lend itself to what we do on a day. And I mean, if you are a trial lawyer, you are a producer. I mean, don't forget that.
Yep.
And people sometimes ask, what's the hardest thing about trying a case? To me, getting everybody to show up on time is sometimes the hardest thing in trying a case. Just organizing witnesses and making sure the case goes into evidence the way you want it to go into evidence. And, that's production skill. And so, it's lent itself, that background in a funny way lent itself to what ended up being my career.
Well, you're telling a story, right? I mean, you have to tell a story.
Well, when we think of that, I mean, when we take on a case here, we think of it at the outset in those terms, right? What is the story that we intend to tell about this case? And all of our discovery, all of the work that we do over the year or 2 or 3 or 4 of litigation is to make sure that we have the evidence, admissible evidence, that will lend itself to us telling that story that we had planned to tell from the outset.
Right. So you're a filmmaker, you're a storyteller. Next thing is to write a book if you haven't written one.
I don't know that I got a book in me. As the manager of the practice and still have a full caseload, my time for writing a book is not here right now.
Well, someday. I mean, maybe in 10 years or something.
That'll be my retirement plan.
There you go. All right, that's interesting. So what other, I know you mentioned Dorkin, what other influencers do you look up to? Whether it's in law or not in law, who do you?
Well, in law, I mean, look, obviously, I had the fortunate experience probably about, this is probably 10, 15 years ago. Our office partnered with Panish's office on a case, and I got to, work with Brian and his team, and, obviously excellent lawyers all the way around. And I don't just mean Brian. I mean, even the people that you may not know their name, but they're working behind the scenes, all universally excellent. And so I was able to learn a lot from that experience. And then I got lucky and had a couple of experiences where I got to work with Gary Dordick. Gary is, in my mind, the quintessential trial attorney, because you meet Gary Dordick and maybe have a 2 or 3 minute conversation with him, and he will automatically feel like your best friend. And he has an ability to convey that to a jury. It's an art form. It's a skill, talent, art form. I don't know that it's something that can necessarily be taught. But to just be around that, Gary's a calming influence too. I'm saying all these things. People in his office may be going, no, he's not. But at least for me, right?
Yeah.
It was, he's this calming influence. He never seems to get overly excited. He's obviously brilliant, which helps. But I would say guys like Gary, Brian. Brian had a lawyer working with him at the time that our office had the case with him, named Deborah Chang. Debbie was just an unbelievably skilled lawyer. I remember sitting through an expert depot that she was taking. I think I was just sitting there to watch more than anything.
Yeah.
And I mean, she just destroyed over about a 7-hour depot. Your average lawyer goes in to take a retained doctor depot, and they take an hour-long depot. Not Debbie Chang. I mean, she comes loaded for bear. She's got like 6 binders of material ready to go, and just dismantle this expert over the course of 7 hours. And so, those types of lawyers have been really influential on me. And I mentioned earlier that Abota Trial College, it moves around now. I think it's either at Yale or Princeton now.
Okay.
That's an amazing program.
Are you part of that club, the Abota?
I am not an abotite, as we like to call it.
Yeah.
But I somehow was invited to do their trial college. To anybody out there that's thinking about it, it is without question the best thing I ever did in my career. As far as a learning experience post law school. You're getting the very best plaintiff lawyers and defense attorneys from around the country are coming in and acting as the proctors for that program. It's a lot of work. It's an intense week, but it is absolutely worth the effort.
How big is the cohort that goes to that?
The year I did it, I'd say there were maybe about 30 of us.
Okay.
And there were at least 30, professors, lawyers that they brought in. But it was the cream of the crop, right? From around the country.
Oh, interesting.
And the whole point is you try a case. In that week, you try a case. And you're trying a case with the best of the best. And so unlike a lot of other MCLE experiences where you just sit and you kind of listen, right? This was interactive. This was you actually trying a case in a courtroom. And it made a big difference. I think it really, it changed. I tried several cases before that. It changed the way I tried cases after.
Oh, that's great. But I mean, there's so many of these now, right? Jerry Spence.
Sure.
Right. I mean, I don't know if what you think of that program, but there's a lot of these things.
I know of a lot of people who have done the Jerry Spence program. I have no criticism of the program. I haven't done it. I mean, it strikes me as sometimes being a little cultish. But that's not necessarily a turnoff. You look at the people who have come out of that program, Rex Paris being one of them.
Yeah.
And they've done incredibly well for their clients.
Yeah, no, it's interesting. Again, I'm not a lawyer, so this is all new territory for me. I mean, I spent a lot of time talking to you guys, and I've learned a ton. It's just interesting that I try to ask questions to even learn more, frankly, for my own personal reasons. But it's interesting. It's very interesting. You guys, it's a real craft, and on the surface, people, as you sort of suggested, you're the Black Knight or whatever you said, black sheep, but like there's a real skill set, and it's a real talent to be good at it.
Takes time too, no one, at least no one I've ever met who comes straight out of law school is ready to be a lawyer. You may have your license, but law school does nothing to teach you how to actually practice law.
Yeah, I've heard that many consistently. I mean, that's the next business I want to start, right? Is to help make that transition from whatever the graduate school is to the real world. And
let me tell you something. You would be a very popular guy if you could figure that out, because young lawyers come into law firms and they don't know how to practice law. They don't know, they certainly don't know the law business, right? It takes, just in my own practice, I can tell you, I mean, we bring in young lawyers and we're looking at 3-4 years just to get them up to speed.
That's
And
awesome.
yeah, I mean, I think there's going to be some changes in the way law school works. So law school should not be a 3-year program. It should be a 2-year program, and then you should be forced to do a year apprenticeship. Maybe it's paid, maybe it's not. But I don't understand. I mean, a guy who did 3 years of law school, I can assure you 2 would have been okay. In California, we've changed the state bar. It used to be a 3-day exam. It's a 2-day exam now, so that's changed. I really think the next big change needs to be, and I'm sure there's going to be law professors that just trash me over this, but I think there needs to be some type of an apprenticeship program, right? We don't let an electrician go out who's done, a year or so of classroom work, go work on, 30,000 volt lines without first going through an apprenticeship.
Right.
And the law should be the same way.
Yeah, that makes sense. I did an MBA, and part of that program was a co-op. I worked 6 months in the field as part of that program. I mean, you're right. I mean, you need to introduce some practical education with the theoretical, right?
Yeah, the theoretical is important because it does, over the time you spend in law school, you will develop a different way of thinking. Okay. And a lot of people, it's the old cliche, think like a lawyer. But it does. I mean, that does happen, right?
Sure.
I don't think it takes 3 years. I think that you could do it in 2 years, and then you get people out into the real world, get their feet wet while they've got a mentor, an actual mentor. They're not under pressure of actually representing clients yet. And you have an apprenticeship program. I mean,
Yeah.
we don't take doctors straight out of med school and throw them into practice, right? I mean, you got to do a residency. There's a reason for that.
Yep. Makes good sense. I think that makes sense. And the other thing I hear too, which even sort of amplifies what you're saying, is that in most people that go to law school go right from undergraduate, so they have no experience at all, right?
Right. Yeah. I mean, in my law school class, we had very few people who had taken a break between undergrad and law school and actually worked, right? I kind of did because I finished undergrad early. I graduated in a shortened period of time. So I had about a year there where I worked, and it was really important because it gives you, there's just a skill set you learn, office politics, how it works to be in an office setting. I mean, you don't know that unless you've actually done it.
You don't know, right?
And so, a lot of people are going straight from undergrad, they take a summer off, and boom, law school starts.
Yeah, that doesn't make any sense. So now you're whatever, 25, 26, and you've never really worked professionally.
Well, and the other part of this is, and again, this gets back to, I don't want us to keep harping on this 2-year law school thing, but I mean, I was lucky, right? I was out of law school in the summer of 01. And so it was a different era. Now, I mean, I see some of these people that come and that we have hired or who have applied here. And I mean, just law school loans, we're talking about like 300 grand in the hole. That's, gosh, I mean, if you had undergraduate loans on top of that, I mean, you've got a really nice home mortgage you're paying back in student loans. I don't know. Doesn't seem to be a sustainable plan.
Yeah. No, I agree with you. Anyway, we could have a whole separate podcast on that topic.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Just to sort of finish it off here, let me just one last question. Just give me one sort of really interesting or memorable case that you worked on that you think is worth sharing.
Well, I've had a lot of ones that just stick in my mind, right?
Yeah.
But one that I was particularly proud of is I handled a 1983 case. So it's a federal civil rights case, but it really wasn't. So I represented a woman by the name of Nancy Garrett, Nancy Garrett had gone to a Dodger game with her son. So it's about an hour and a half, hour, 45 minutes from Bakersfield. They had come back into town. Her son's an adult. So they dropped the son off at his house and she was driving home. And it just so happened that the sheriff's department here in the community was chasing actually, I take that back. They were on their way to a bar where a fight had broken out.
Okay.
And a deputy, relatively new deputy at the time, driving southbound on a street with a speed limit of 40 miles per hour, was doing 85 miles an hour when he blew a red light and killed Nancy Garrett. And this was the third of those types of cases that I'd had over a 3 or 4 year period of time. So I'd had 4 other deaths. I had 2 in one case, and I had another one, then I had the Garrett death. And they were all within a 3 or 4 year period of time. And, it was clear to both me and the community at large that our sheriff's department had a problem. They were driving like maniacs, right? And so we decided that we were going to get creative on this last case and actually take what's really just an auto accident case and turn it into a civil rights case.
Mm.
And it was a huge fight. We initially, our claim for the civil rights violation was knocked out at the federal level on a demur. We got lucky and we had a federal judge that said, look, I'm going to sustain the demur, but I'm going to let you do discovery on this issue, which we did for about 3 years. And then we're finally able to amend our complaint, and the judge allowed us to end up making the civil rights claims. And here's why I'm particularly proud of the case.
Yeah.
So this, I'd have to go back in my memory log here, but I want to say that the accident that killed Nancy Garrett was in roughly 2015, 2014. After we filed that case, mind you, there had been all of these other incidents that were similar. From that point in time forward to this very day, I have not heard of another instance where the Kern County Sheriff's Department has had somebody driving code 3 that got in an accident and killed somebody. And so we feel like we really made a difference to our community, made our community safer, raised awareness to the issue. The Sheriff's Department finally started enforcing its code 3 driving policy the way it should have been all along. And so it was a case we were particularly proud of.
Excellent. Good work.
Yeah. It was that case went on 5 years.
Wow.
Yeah.
So was there a big award?
Yeah, I mean, it was a multi-million-dollar award at the end.
Yeah.
Settled kind of on the eve of trial. At that point in time, litigants get worn out after 5 or 6 years of litigation. Yeah. They just kind of want to put it to an end. And in that instance, the county finally put up enough money to my clients to get them to the point where they wanted to settle.
Yeah. Okay. Good ending. That is an interesting. I'm gonna have to look that up and do a little research on that, because I don't know anything about 1983 or any of that stuff.
Yeah, 1983 is the Federal Civil Rights Act, or the civil. Yeah. And so when you file a lawsuit under that act, you're essentially making a claim of a federal civil rights violation. And so when you think of that, you're thinking of like excessive force cases, right?
Sure. Discrimination, things like that.
And so for us to sort of pigeonhole it, it's like trying to stick a round peg in a square hole here, where we're trying to take an auto accident case and make it a civil rights case. But our argument was that the department was not enforcing its policies, and its failure to enforce policies deprived this woman of her federal civil rights. And
so you made some case law there that set a precedent for others.
There was actually an out of jurisdiction precedent that we relied on. I can't remember the jurisdiction, but it was a appellate district back on the East Coast. And so we were able to get our California court to accept it.
Very good. Excellent. Good. Well, listen, great stuff. I appreciate the time with you. Just final words you want to leave with the audience about your firm and the best way to connect.
Yeah, sure. So we're Cohn Clark in Bakersfield, California. You can look us up anytime you like at chainlaw.com. Chainlaw, CHAINLAW.com.
Okay. Great. So for everybody, Matt Clark, and again, you heard it right there. Shane Law, or again, let me get it right, Shane Cohn Clark, and all the names they were practicing in the firm?
No. Morris Chain passed away in the 70s. My partner, Dave Cohn, retired at the end of this past year. So he's
Oh, so you're remaining. Okay, so got
I'm
it.
the remaining name.
All right, excellent, good. Well, listen, again, thank you. And this is sponsored by EmotionTrac, which we chatted about a little bit. We're a legal tech platform that helps guys like you, litigators, prepare for mediation trials with our digital insights platform. So thanks again, Matt.
Jonathan, thank you so much. And good luck getting through the winter in Florida. I think everybody else is jealous of you.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.